everybody, my name is Lori Gagne and I'll be bringing you Relic News. To start off this episode, I had a fantastic story sent to me by Ross Tennant. He took along his 11-year-old daughter, Arawyn, metal detecting with her brand new Technetics. She had gotten a signal and had dug 7 inches down to pull out an 1850 braided larch scent. What an incredible find. Way to go, girl. Way to go.
Okay, well, my name's Carl Fismar. I'm originally from Cincinnati, but I moved to Florida 46 years ago. So I lived here a lot longer than I lived in Ohio, so you could almost say I'm a Floridian. My only regret was I didn't move sooner. I'm serious, I always wanted to, even when I was a little kid, I wanted to go to Florida. Well, I finally did, and this is the place for me. So I got into, I had scuba gear on when I was up in Ohio, but I didn't have any training. I didn't know nothing, just put it on like Mike Nelson and jumped in the water, pretty much. So when I got here, I got a job on the Sarasota Fire Department, and I got my boat captain's license and dive training, and I ended up in charge of from the divers and the boat. On the fire department, you work 24 hours on duty, and then you get 48 hours off. So it's pretty good. If you trade the shift, then you work 2 days, 48, but then you get 5 days off. I was doing that all the time and going down to the Keys. The Florida Keys, sorry to say was, but still is basically the treasure headquarters for the world. That's where it all started. Still treasure hunting. Been doing it for, well, ever since I got to Florida. Actually, 46 years. Long before you were on the planet.
So how did it really start 46 years ago? Like, did you come across something that intrigued you, or?
Well, when on the fire department, I was put in charge on, there's 3 shifts, and I was on one of the shifts, and I was in charge of the boat and the divers, as well as running the rescue truck. And one day we were out, we took the boat out, 6 of us, and we were supposed to be practicing our search methods. But we accidentally anchored right over top of a wreck. And, I jumped in, I snorkeled around, and I could see it. And I believe it was a mini freighter, maybe World War II vintage. And there it laid in 2 great big pieces. And I was fascinated by it. The fish were swimming in and out of it. And so we got our gear on, and we went down. Now we're all picking through the wreck, hoping to find a safe with $1 billion in it. And then I noticed there was a lot of copper pipes inside the ship. And, if you go like this to them, you can break them off. And copper is toxic to the marine environment. So I figured, well, we'd be doing 2 good things. We'd be helping the environment a bit, and then we could take all that copper to the scrapyard and sell it and make $1 million. So 6 of us were pulling copper pipes out and throwing them in the boat. Next day I took them to the junk store, and I think we got like $7 or something for it. But that was the first money I got from treasure hunting, and I never forgot. After that, the fever started building, and I went to the library and looking through the selection on the pirates' treasure, the treasure hunting, Spanish galleons. So the very first book I chose to read was called Finders Losers, written by a man named Jack Slack. And basically it was about a shipwreck over in the Bahamas that these four friends found this Spanish galleon, and they started getting Spanish treasure off of it. And so since they were all best friends, they didn't want one of them to be the boss over the other people. So the four of them decided they would hire an attorney, and the attorney would be the boss of the group. Well, that didn't turn out too well because the attorney wasn't a very honest fellow, and it ended up, all four of these best friends ended up hating each other and losing the bulk of the treasure, and it was kind of like a figurine. It was like a book of mistakes. And well, I read that and I thought, I'm never going to make those mistakes. But I invented a lot of new ones, I don't mind telling you.
You have a book coming out.
I just happen to have a copy right here. How can you believe that? Let me see. Uncharted Waters. The Life and Times of Captain Fizz. Yeah, now this is an advanced copy that the publisher sent to us. So I get 300 of these on the 15th of February. And of course, I'm taking advanced orders on Facebook. If you go to Carl Fismar Expeditions, they're for sale on there, and they're also for sale on Pirate Treasure Company.
Now I'll be featuring Bill Lachine from the Canadian Metal Detecting Forum. Bill had started metal detecting in 1993. He had a very stressful job and traveled, and he was always a history buff. So this is why he figured, why not try metal detecting? And here he is, 20 years later, still doing it. Now, when I asked Bill what his favorite find is, he said he just couldn't narrow it down and for me to take a wild guess. Well, if I was to choose a relic of his that I think is his favorite find, it would probably be this one. Bill, over the years, has found so many gold rings. Here's just a few. So when I asked Bill what his most memorable hunt was, he had told me it wasn't the most successful hunt, but it was the one hunt that changed his outlook and his approach on metal detecting. He went out to a park that he was sure that he had cleaned out. Now this had happened about 8 years ago. After a heavy rain, he had went back to this park and slowly overlapped his swings. He had managed to find a small girl's gold ring, a silver dime, and a couple of buttons, and a handful of clad. Now that had proved to him that this approach to metal detecting was the way to go, and this is how he has been hunting ever since. Now I'll be featuring Terry Charest. So how did it all start for Terry?
Well, it actually all started out in about 1972. My parents had relocated us down into Van Vleck, Texas, believe it or not. And we lived down there with my grandparents lived down there. And they had a detector. And, well, my dad used it a few times. He took a liking to it and he had to get his own. That was in 72. It was a brand new White's Goldmaster, which is a dinosaur. And I think it came with just a cheap deal. It came with a bounty hunter, just a little kid starter detector. And I would follow him around with that thing, and if I wasn't detecting myself, I was digging a hole. But I took interest in it as a very, I think it was 10, I was 10 years old at the time. And, well, I was 72, so it's a lot of years ago.
What metal detector does he use?
I'm running a White's MXT All Pro now. I've used just about every detector there is, but I've always gone back to White's for some reason. I don't know. That's what my dad always used. That's what I started with. Well, I was a little bounty hunter, but
Which that brings me, is there a find that has eluded you all these years?
Big silver, big old silver dollar. I've never found a silver dollar. The one that I would really love to find is the chain cent. Found plenty of large cents, plenty of Drake busts, but I've never found, well, they're very scarce anyways, the chain cent. That would be my ultimate find right there.
What was his most favorite find?
My favorite find would have to be my GW buttons. Besides the GW buttons, this past summer, my brother and I were just out cellar hole hunting. And, well, I came across this signal that was, on the MXT. It was more or less a low grunt. But it had this one little high tone in it that got my interest. Well, I just scraped the leaves away because there was a little faint interest. I saw a glint of yellow, gold, and I commenced to pulling 2 or 3 beautiful chains, a huge bracelet, a couple rings, some earrings, and it ended up being a total of just under 3 ounces of 14 karat gold jewelry. But yeah, and other than that, I would say my silver applied shoe buckle, complete shoe buckle. That's probably one of my favorite finds also.
What is his most memorable moment?
Well, that my most memorable hunt that I will never forget would be Dave and I's first dine hunt, digging in New England hunt. That would be my most memorable.
Rocky Mountain Prospector Ryan here. So tonight I'm going to show you exactly how I dig the plugs, and I'm also going to do a 7-day elapsed time. I'm going to come out every day and show you what the plugs look like after I've dug them for 7 days and show you which ones work and which ones don't. Alright, my 2 tools of choice. First, and my go-to always, is my Predator tool. It's a small digger. If you look at it compared to my Lachine, the actual size of the spade is, well, probably 2 times as big. I'm going to show you how I dig a normal plug. When you guys are watching these videos, you see a lot of plugs come up pretty fast. You notice I have my spade at a 90-degree angle, so it goes in straight. You see how long this is? It's probably 7 inches long. I always go a full spade deep. If you do a full spade deep, you move around the sides and you cut at least 4 inches around in this hole, you're going to keep the roots intact, and when you pull your plug's going to come up very nice. You see how that plug comes up? It has just barely the ends of any roots coming out the bottom. If you look down inside the plug is solid. All the way around the edges, it's straight. This is my yard. I have 100% faith this plug is going to reintegrate very fast. You're not going to see any of the browning around the edges.
Now we'll be featuring Chris. Some of you may know him as CCwoof on the Canadian Metal Detecting Forum.
My name's Chris Catton. I've been in the hobby for 8 years. I live in Southern Ontario, Essex County.
What got you to purchase that metal detector 8 years ago?
I purchased my first detector. We have a cottage up in Northern Ontario, and there's a lot of beach there, and I decided one day to buy a cheap detector. I bought a Prospector, and the first thing I found was a silver bracelet. So from that moment on, I was hooked on metal detecting.
So you're the president of the Windsor Metal Detecting Club?
We're the Blue Water Treasure Seekers. We don't have a website. We have a Facebook page.
Now I asked him, What was his favorite find?
My favorite find would be the silver trade silver ring I found this fall. I'm very interested in native artifacts, and my whole life native artifacts have been my hobby. I love finding stuff connected to them, and so that ring was really my find of a lifetime. I'd say one of my most memorable would be I do a lot of water hunting in the lakes in Sauble Beach, and every year I find people's lost jewelry, and keys and stuff like that, and so it's always very memorable when I find somebody's wedding ring, and they're really grateful that I found it for them, eh? So.
Now we'll be featuring Albert Charbonneau.
Hi everyone, I'm Al Charbonneau. Everyone knows me as Al Foo on YouTube. It's a pleasure to be a part of Relic News, and thank you very much, Lori, for the opportunity.
Now I asked Albert how it all began for him.
So, did you see a metal detector somewhere? Did you see somebody metal detecting?
Well, actually, if you want to go way back, when I was about 4 years old, I was the only boy in my family, so my father bought me pretty much everything you could think of that was boy-oriented. So around the age of 4, I got a Radio Shack metal detector, and that's when I really was introduced to metal detecting. And obviously, at that age, I had no idea really what I was doing or anything. But fast forward to when I was about 14, and that's when I was at a local flea market, and I happened to see a used metal detector that somebody was selling, and they only wanted $5 for it because the guy didn't have any idea whether or not it worked. So I bought it. I took it home, and sure enough, it didn't work. But after I opened up the battery compartment, I realized that this was an old White's 5000 GEB. It took a lot of batteries. So I opened up the battery case, and one of the wires happened to be off of the terminal. So I simply connected it again and put in batteries, and the thing worked. So that was great. I got into that, hunting my neighborhood, my yard, and that kind of stuff. But I kind of put it away because soon after that, I started my martial arts, and I did that for the majority of my life. Well, what got me started in the hobby, I guess, would be some old TV shows that I used to watch. I really started getting into it, seriously, about 7 or 8 years ago. Before that, I just, messed around a little bit here and there. But in the past 7 years, I really concentrated on the hobby. Up until around 8 years ago, when I happened to be watching some YouTube videos and caught some metal detecting videos, and I decided, you know what, maybe I should get back into this hobby again, and that's what I did. And after I started getting back into it, this was back when I was living in Rhode Island. Right now I live in South Carolina, and when I moved out in New England, I was doing great metal detecting. I made some great friends, awesome finds. Then when I moved down here in June of 2012, I was here for 3 weeks, and I ended up getting diagnosed with a heart disease, unfortunately. It's called cardiomyopathy, and it's debilitating. I had to go in for open heart surgery. It's rough. I'm doing a lot better now, but I do still get to detect. And down here, I go out at least once a week, and I hunt, and I made another great bunch of awesome people.
Or most memorable moment or most memorable hunt?
Boy, that's another really tough question. I have a lot of them. I'm going to say, and I'll segue this into the next thing, I guess. My most memorable hunt, I'm going to say, was here in South Carolina. And the reason why I'm going to pick that is because last July I held my very first Food Fest, which was a seated hunt down here in South Carolina on the beach. I had members from my Facebook group all show up, and we had an amazing time. One of the last memorable moments of that hunt, however, was a tornado that actually landed in the ocean right close to the beach. Yeah, that's pretty much stuck in my memory.
Did you actually see that tornado?
See it? I was kind of in it. Yeah, literally. I just bought a new tarp to put on the beach because it was a really hot day, sunny, and myself and a friend of mine were actually trying to save it when the tornado came, and it literally ripped it out of our hands and sent us running down the beach at full speed. It was, it was quite the memory. My heart didn't bother me at that moment.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I'd probably be running in circles, not knowing which way to go.
The folks who were there, they'll most likely be commenting on this about that experience because it was something else.
Now I asked him what his most favorite find was.
What would you say that your favorite find is? I know it's a really tough question, and many people have a lot of favorites, but...
That's, it is an extremely hard question. Let's break it into two categories. One would be my best Rhode Island find, and that was my very first large scent that I ever found. It was an 1818. I found it at a local state park on a horseback trail, and it was in immaculate condition. I actually found it using a Famous Trails underwater detector I was using on land, and that coin it's still probably my all-time favorite coin of all, just because of being the age it was and the condition it was in, and being my very first large set. then I'll go to South Carolina. Now I've been making some pretty cool finds here, a lot of good Civil War stuff, but one thing that stands out to me more than anything else is I was on a beach with my son, and we happened to unearth a Spanish real, and that, if anybody has seen that video, that put me over the top.
Hey, out on the beach, it's beautiful here. Okay guys, off to the next. Hold on. Oh my god. Oh my god, guys. We just found something. I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
It's got some type of engraving in the back.
Oh my god.
I think it is Spanish.
We just scored something, guys. Oh my god, I think it's a silver coin. Oh my god, it's a Spanish silver, I think.
Do you want me to clean it in the water?
Oh my god. Go. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, I think it's a big, huge Spanish coin, guys. Oh. I gotta. Oh my god. Oh my god. There. Oh, here he comes running. He's running like crazy. He's running like crazy. It must be something good. It must be. You lost a shoe. What is it, Jake? What is it?
Engravements all over it.
Oh my god, look at this. Oh my god. Oh, I think this is a huge Spanish silver coin.
I'm gonna go get my shoe back.
Yeah. Oh my god, guys. Oh my god. It's heavy. Oh, I can't wait to get this cleaned up and see exactly what it is. Oh my god. Oh my God. And this was oh my God, it wasn't even deep.